Hello and welcome to Crafting with Kimberly again. We're live. It took a while, but yay, we're live. There's real people here. It's fantastic. And hello to everybody out on in Cyberland there. We are going to make a really fun project today. And I have to admit, when we were coming up with ideas of things to make, Eric just said, well, what about fairy gardens? And I said, well, you know what? When live plants come into my house, we do give it the last rites because I have a black thumb. But boy, can I craft some really cute things for fairy gardens. But the good news is we're using succulents today. And I have had good success with succulents. I made a fairy garden class with Michelle here at the library probably 3 years ago, and it is still alive. So, yay, yay. And the other good thing is if your plant dies, they're really not that expensive succulents. You can get them anywhere from like $2 to $3. There's a new store on Market Street that's selling them. Macy's has them. Walmart has them. You can buy them online. And if worse comes to worse, Dollar Tree has the cutest fake succulents. So if you don't want to worry about it, you just use the dirt, the sticks and all of that, and you just plop in your little plastic succulent or silk flower, and you're good to go. So in regards, I did a lot of research on this so I can kind of speak with some authority. You can use almost any container to do a fairy garden, anything. And if you're going to use live plants, the only thing that you have to remember is it has to be able to have water go in it. So if you're doing it for real and say you had a really cute cardboard box that you wanted to use, just put plastic in there. Now, everything that you see online says make sure you have a good drainage hole for succulents. We're going to get around that. Everybody in their kit or online with instructions has a bag of rocks. So we're using rocks as kind of our drainage hole. Because when you're thinking about succulents, you never want to overwater. And you want to see if your succulent needs water, just take your finger and put it down as close as you can to your cactus. Stick your finger down and pull it out. If your finger comes back dry, then it's saying, yes, I want water. If it's coming back wet or even moist, wait a little bit more. So they say kind of the basic idea is 7 to 10 days. What we're planting today, do not water. That's why we don't have water in our kits. That's why we don't have water out here. You do not want to water it. You want to let the roots somewhat get established and get in there. So I would say probably within like 3 or 4 days. We watered them once while they were here. Let it go. I mean, if it's really super, super dry, I'd still say wait at least 2 days, no earlier than 2. 3 is probably your best bet. Then give it some water. So any kind of container is good. And like I said, what I'm using is I found these really pretty bowls at the Dollar Tree. I live at the Dollar Tree. I try to do it doesn't everybody. I mean, I do most of my crafts with supplies from the Dollar Tree because crafting doesn't have to be expensive. And I like to come up with different ideas how to do it because you can see some great stuff from, you know, the big name stores and you're going to pay so much money. And there's always a way to do it cheaper, always. So like I said, with this, we're going to use these bowls. We're not going to have the drainage hole, obviously. So you're going to you have a bag labeled rocks for the bottom. So you're going to take that bag and carefully put them right in the bottom. There's one with rocks and sand, and there's one that says rocks for bottom. And if for those of you at home, if you didn't get a kit, you're going to put rocks. It can be big rocks that you find outside, wash them first. Big rocks that you buy, we had bag rocks. So you're going to carefully put your rocks, the whole bag that you have. Seems like a lot, but it's really not. Put all of your rocks in the bottom. So you're going to put them in the bottom and you're just going to spread them around. This is going to give you a really nice kind of drainage level. So if you do overwater for some reason, it's going to pretty much go through your soil and go down in here first. And if worse comes to worse, you can always kind of siphon it out if you have to, but that's going to be that. Now, Also, when they talk about planting succulents, there is cactus soil that you can purchase. It's expensive because I just took apart an aloe vera plant at home that had literally grown itself out and off. So I took I've got like about 20 of them I have to plant at home now. So I said, I want the cactus soil for that. Well, a bag about this big is $15, like $16. So it's expensive stuff. You can make your own DIY cactus mix. All cactus mix is an aerated dirt. You do not want, dirt that's going to really hold all that water. You want it to kind of go through. We're cheating a little bit with the dirt because we bought clay sand. All the sites say use coarse sand. We couldn't find any coarse sand around here. So we bought this clay sand. We're gonna mix, and that's why in the kit, you're getting a bag of sand and rocks that we're kind of mixing it together. So the sand and rocks, we're just gonna kind of mix it. You're then going to take your dirt. So if you're not using specific cactus soil, you are going to take your bag of dirt. Now this, you can see like in the dirt that we provided, you can see like little white pieces of styrofoam in there. So this is just a basic potting mix. So this is made, like all plants really want water to kind of flow through and never pool. Pooling water, unless you're a lily pad, is not a good idea. So there is some aeration in here, but not a lot. So we're going to take this bag and we're going to take our bag of rocks and sand, take the bag of rocks and sand, dump it into your dirt and mix it up. And this is what you can do when you're at home trying to make your own sand. The best way to do it, just stick it in a plastic bag and you just want to mix it up. Because this is not coarse sand, that's why we added the rocks to it. So your layer of rocks on the bottom, that's to make sure your roots don't sit in water. For the actual potting mix, we want this mixed up. Now, for those of you that are here in class and for those at home that did get a kit, this is definitely more dirt than what you need. So you can go home and make another one. You're not going to need all this, but so you just kind of want to really give it a good mix. Plastic bags are great because that's what gets it in there. So then you're going to just take this and then pour it into your bowl. So we're pouring. Now, when you're pouring it in, you kind of want to think, all right, how high do I go? So far, I poured mine in. I'm leaving myself probably about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch of a lip. Because when you're pouring water in to water your plants, you don't want the water spilling over the top of it. So I would always suggest, no matter what kind of container you're putting it in, definitely leave yourself a little lip on top. So that's what it should look like. You've got your pot, you've got a little lip. Another nice thing, what you can do too, is you can actually take a layer of rocks. If you find some decorative rocks or stones, put a layer of stones around in a circle on the outside. That'll really help you prevent from overwatering and overflowing. And then to plant, we bought our plants at Massey's. This is what one of them looks like here. You really do not have to worry about taking off the roots. You really don't have to worry about breaking it up. You can if you want. I'm going to kind of squeeze it just a little bit, but I'm going to kind of just keep it all together. I'm not worrying about cutting it, separating the roots. It's, it was in special soil to start with. So this is all right. You're just going to go to where you want your one plant. Really official. Take your finger, drill a hole down into it to get it to fit. plop it in. Now with your cactus, you want your cactus to fit right on top of the soil. You don't want it up above, you want it to sit on your soil. If for some reason the depth of your pot is too small, you can take some of these roots off. So for my example, I am gonna just pull off a chunk of these roots. I'm outside, so I can throw them on the ground. So we want decorative things to go on top. So I am not gonna put it in the center. I'm gonna put mine over on the side because I do want to use my little fountain. So I'm gonna have to make sure when you have decorations, you wanna think about where you wanna put them. So I suggest, you can't go wrong with a fairy garden. You can't go wrong with where you put things. Some people just fill the entire thing up and don't worry about the decorations. We've got it so where we're gonna put the decorations in. So you're gonna do the same thing to the other one. I'm gonna kind of put mine really right next to each other. And I'm building my soil up. So that's how I did mine. I did mine here on the side. I have little ends on mine. I'm just gonna let them hang down there because they'll grow roots and they'll start in. I'll water these plants for at least 3 days, 3 to 4 days. Then, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to damage your roots. You don't want them waterlogged right away. You want them, because what we're doing is a little hard for your plants. So we want them to say, oh, I got a new home. All right, let's relax. Let's spread out a bit. So we're just going to let them rest for a couple of days. Then we'll water, because otherwise they'll get, the roots will get too soggy because they haven't spread out at all. That's all it takes to create a fairy garden, to plant it. That's all you have to have. The rocks, the soil, the plants. After that comes all, okay. So I gathered a whole bunch of fun stuff. Fairy gardens, anything goes. Fun things to use, corks. So that gives you a good excuse to drink champagne or go to a friend that you know that does wine or champagne or corks. So corks are really cute. They can be a toadstool and just leave it. You can paint it. You can make it a little stool for them to sit on. I also created these in our kits. Everybody has the two tops of an Easter egg, because I think everybody somewhere in their attic at one point has Easter eggs, plastic Easter eggs in their house. What do you do with them after you're tired of doing Easter egg hunts? Well, how cute is that? I just glued it to the top of one of the corks. I didn't have a chance. I want to take like a white marker or white paint. I want to paint polka dots on it. You can paint polka dots. You can do stripes. You can glue other tiny little figurines to it. You can do whatever. That I did is I wanted to bring it down a little bit more. So I took a piece of cardboard. You can use paper. You can take part of a paper bag, crumple it up, stick it in there. So you can use the container that your glass things come in. So anything, cereal boxes, this is a great project to be able to reuse a lot of the stuff that you have at home. So take just a little piece of cardboard, newspaper, or paper, junk mail, great to use. I put a little bit of that in the top. I just hot glued a little bit up in there, and then I glued my cork to that, and it's on there. And it gave me the height that I wanted, because it was a little too deep. Some corks are longer, so you could use that. You could use sticks to do this part of it, whatever you wanted. But I thought this was a really cute example of something that you could use. You can use a marker to decorate it if you want to use these. You can use paint, anything like that. You can glue things on top of it. You could wrap it with wrapping paper. Anything that you wanted to do. So that's a cute example. The library had a ton of bottle caps that they had been collecting to use for projects. These can be used as stepping stones. So you can put them around in a pattern and use them as stepping stones. You can glue this to your cork and make that a little chair, a little stool. You can glue it to, I brought some sticks. You could take a piece of a stick and glue it on there and make a flat little mushroom or a little table, whatever you think your little fairies and your gnomes want. So this is a fun thing to use, because what do you do with the bottle tops? Here's a cute idea of something to use it with. Glass gems are also really fun. You can get these again at the Dollar Tree or online. I think Walmart has them too. Most stores have these. They're just these little glass gems, and they make a really cute decoration. You can do a path, do a little winding path around. You know, use these, take these, glue these onto your mushroom. How cute it would be. So, I mean, really, the sky's the limit as to your imagination. Of 3, which were really cute. You can use those. You can make your own little fairies. How cute are fairies made out of sticks, with fabric for wings, or now is the season where all the spinners, I'm seeing a lot of spinners coming around. Those make really cute wings. You can make your own little fairy. You make a fairy out of a clothes stick, put it in there. So there's, you know, all sorts of, they had tons of little different decorations that you can add in and put on. The other thing that I did is I made, if you look online, there are, I mean, fairy gardens are huge, and there's tons and tons of sites of things to make and where to go for stuff. So I happened to see a swing. I didn't even bother looking at the directions. I'm like, oh, this is easy. All I did for this, and for those here in class, I do have a whole bag of sticks here, because we've got the glue guns. So if you want to make one, go right ahead. All I did was I went to the size that I wanted. So I took 4 sticks and just, you know, snapped them in half with my fingers, you know, went as big as I wanted. I glued the 2 of them together. And then, just for the sake of, because it's cute, twine is great to use on everything. Twine makes everything cuter, and in my opinion, it's just gives it a very farmhousey, rustic look. So the twine is not holding those together. I glued them, glued the stick going across, and then just wrapped the twine around it just to have it look cute. I then took 2 sticks and glued them together side by side, and then tied the twine to that, brought the string up, brought the twine up, tied it to the top, and now you've got a cute little swing for your fairy to go on. And if you don't put the fairies in here, you can set this outside and have the real fairies come and they'll have a nice little swing to play with. So that was, I mean, super simple, super easy. It took me maybe because I had never done it before, it probably took me 10 minutes just to figure out what I wanted to do with it. So now that I've described it, it'll take you 5. It's not hard to make this at all, any size with that. What I'm also loving is I saw this online, and again, I had to make it instantly. So unfortunately in your kits, you don't have this, but I know you've got rocks at home. So what I did is I just hot glued rocks together, and I just kind of did it in an oval. I just kind of went in like an oval pattern, and I built up on top. So I put a couple on top to make the base. I did pour, once my rocks were dry on the outside, I did pour the hot glue in the middle just to have it look like a pond. You can get colored hot glue sticks if you wanted it to be blue like water. I kind of like the idea of pretending this is rushing really fast. And if you see really fast water rushing, it's usually white if you're trying to take a picture of it. And the other secret that I use, just bought a new glue gun, had a lot of bubble wrap with it. I used a piece of bubble wrap, and all I did, I used that to give myself a base. I think I brought an extra, no, I guess I did. And I cut probably, maybe less than an inch by maybe about like that, 3 inches, 4 inches, however long you want your waterfall to go. So I just cut it as wide as I wanted and as long as I wanted. Laid it down. You could use a piece of wax paper and put your glue onto that to use, or a plastic bag. You could also cut a piece. You want something clear. You definitely want something clear. I thought the bubble wrap was kind of cool because it made it look like bubbles underneath. So if it was showing, so with that piece I cut, you can see that's exactly where I cut it out. You just lay it down either on your wax paper or your silicone surface, and you just put hot glue back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If anybody wants to start and make one here, this is up for grabs. If people want to cut in class, if you want to cut pieces off to make one for home, go ahead and do that. That's here. But I just glued back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, let it build up a little bit to the area that I wanted, and let it drip down a little bit. And you can see how that peels right up because that gave me kind of a flat circle. I added some little rocks. I added some little seashells to it. And that's all it is. I laid it on top. I glued it on my top rock. I brought it down to where I wanted it. I glued it on the bottom rock, and then I glued a rock on top. That's it. And I think it's really cute. I was really happy with the way this turned out. You know, sometimes you see the Pinterest fails. This was not a Pinterest fail. This was a good one. Very easy to do and clever. I mean, any rocks at home, you can buy rocks, decorative rocks. So you can really use anything you want. But that's kind of a cute thing. So like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to just set that in to give it a little bit of decoration there. And then when you're building fairy gardens, you just kind of put your little figures wherever you want them to go, plop them around, as many or as little as you want. You know, take your glass pieces, make designs, put them around. That's really all there is to it. The other thing that I thought was really cute is, oh, here was my piece. I did have an extra piece that I cut off. So that just shows what it kind of looks like before you hot glue it. So I made it a little bit bigger than what I wanted to do. So then I just cut that off. But I thought it was cool because you can see the bubbles. You can see the bubbles kind of through it. So to me, if you know, bend, very bendable, moldable. So it's like, okay, there's an instant waterfall on my hand. Really cool. The other thing that's fun to use are the old-fashioned clippy clothespins. Yes, they do still sell them. You buy them in a craft store, they're going to be really expensive. If you go to Walmart into their laundry department or into the Dollar Tree, a lot cheaper. Or go to household sales or you know, some of the discount antique places, really cheap. What I did is I used the ones that have that you can push like this, not the ones you just push down on. I still use those for my laundry, but this is the ones that open and close. I took a little metal thing off. I'm sure it has a name. I have no idea what the real name is, but I took that off. And then I was just left with these two little sticks. These I thought could be used for a multitude of things. If you took a little piece of cardboard and made a little hut, this could be a really cute thatched roof on both sides and just glue it. Make a little square, here's your roof. I thought if you took your twine and wrapped it around and then spaced those out, that would be a cute little fence that you could have going around your place. If you wanted a wooden bridge, you could glue them together and make a wooden bridge. So this is just another kind of clever idea of what to use. You can paint them, not paint them. The ones in the library were used for something else. So some of them had paint already on them, which I thought was really cute because it almost looked like the gnomes were trying to paint it, but gnomes in the folklore, gnomes and fairies will gather things that you've thrown out, things that they find, and bring them back to use for things. So it's really cute if it has little decorations. So you can, you know, decorate those as crazy or as well as you want. Another idea is I think I had a pileated woodpecker, which are the woody woodpeckers, the really big ones, because I looked out in my backyard today And my yard was just covered with pieces of bark from my tree. So I couldn't find any places where it came from, but it was going to town. But for those of you in class here, if you want some of these, you can have them. This can make a cute setting to put down. I also thought this would be really cute for a roof. If you also wanted to make a box and put this on top for a roof. So just kind of look around outside, see what you find that brings you inspiration, and kind of get in your head. I'm not seeing what it's used for, I'm seeing what it could be used for. And that's what gives you the really fun ideas. You know, look around, especially your recycling is really good to look at. How can we recycle our stuff? What can we turn it into instead of adding to the landfills? It's great to be able to think of, all right, I'm going to use this plastic container as something. I'm going to use the junk mail that I came to paper something, use it as wrapping paper, paint on it to make paper. So, you know, Fairy Garden is a great way to look at different things that are out there. So really, we're technically done. I didn't put my cutesy little gems and things on it, but I know as I was talking, everybody in class had already did it. I mean, this is not a long process, but to make things for them is really, really fun. So again, just to recap, whenever you're making one, a layer of rocks, and it can be any kind of rocks. If you're gathering them from outside and you don't know where you're getting them from, a good thing to remember, wash your rocks first. Wash them with soap and water, because many of, like if you see like near shopping plazas and things, they have a whole bunch of rocks that are lying out. They spray those with pesticides. So you don't want to be putting that into your plant area. So whatever rocks you get, it's just a good idea. Just kind of wash them, soap and water, rinse them out. If you buy the bag ones, you can, you know, rinse those off too. They should be okay. So your layer of rocks, then your mixture of dirt and stones and sand, or buy a bag of cactus soil, put those in, put your plants in. Don't water for 3 to 4 days to start with. And then if you want to check, you just put your finger in near your plants. If it comes out dry, time to water. Just, and because this is a small garden, I'm not going to fill it all up with water. I'm just going to put a little water here near the roots here. I don't need to water anything here because I don't have plants. So I'm just going to put some water where my plants are. Not enough to fill the entire bottom, just enough to kind of give it a drink. And then you just kind of, you watch it from there. So really the sky is the limit as to what you can make with it. You can add moss. You can buy moss to add with it. You can put in leaves, twigs. Fabric swatches are really fun. You can take pieces of fabric, make little flags that you can put around. So really any kind of decorating that you can think of, that's the way to use it.